Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. My name is Imran Khan and I work as a senior fellow with the National Dialogue Forum. Today is 30th of March 2026, Monday, and my colleague Sheharyar Khan, who works as the executive director with the NDF, and I are going to talk about uh, the quadrilateral meeting of four foreign ministers, namely Pakistan, Turkey, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. This quadrilateral meeting took place in Islamabad yesterday, and Sheharyar Khan and I are going to assess whether it was successful or not, what are the implications of this quadrilateral meeting, and what's the way forward for Pakistan's role as the peace mediator between Iran and US. How are you doing today, Sharia?
All good. There's a lot of rain, a lot of thunder, and this is the best time to record the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, it was a beautiful weather since afternoon in Islamabad, but on the downside, one was totally immobilized. I could not even go out for my meetings, but I can't complain. It was nice weather, as you said. But yesterday was such a historically eventful day in Islamabad. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, Islamabad, I'm observing, is becoming the center of diplomacy. Everyone is interested in Islamabad. Islamabad is in the news. Islamabad is in the global news, local news, regional news. All the key decision makers of the region are watching Islamabad, looking at Islamabad. And I don't think this kind of like profile, and obviously a positive profile from the angle of peace building, Pakistan hasn't like enjoyed this level of attention in the recent years. What do you think?
No, I agree. I mean, look at how Saturday and Sunday played out in Pakistan. The foreign minister of Turkey arrives in Islamabad on the night between Saturday and Sunday. The Egyptian foreign minister arrives after him. Then, on the Sunday, I think afternoon, the foreign minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia arrives. Then there is sort of those sort of discussions, the quadrilateral meeting. It was an extremely eventful day, a historical day, and both the national media, international media, it was totally focused on what was going on. But Shariar, let me ask you, how do you assess the outcome of this quadrilateral meeting? Do you think, well, first of all, what were they trying to achieve with this meeting? And did they achieve the outcome that they would have wanted to achieve?
So, Imran, I think this is in the backdrop of the mediation that Pakistan has been doing between the US and Iran in the last 1 week. And as you know, that the US first presented their 15-point agenda. And in return, Iran obviously came up with their own 5 points. And from assessing from that, there are like a few areas of convergence, but obviously a lot of like divergence as well. So to basically, I think to work on that stalemate situation, Pakistan invited these three stakeholders, and these stakeholders, as Saudis, the Turkey, and Egypt, they have been involved in this like peace building effort from the start. And you also remember when all of these discussions were taking place, whether the venue of these negotiations will be which country, which capital. So the discussion was revolving around Sharm el Sheikh, Istanbul. It was Riyadh was obviously not in the discussion at that time because of the regional security situation, and obviously Islamabad. I still think there's a lot of consensus on the venue being Islamabad right now. But I think these foreign ministers were coming to Islamabad in that backdrop.
Right.
I also think that there is a discussion on developing a minimum possible consensus. And this is a very smart move that Pakistan is doing. Obviously, we're very happy that Pakistan is taking this limelight and becoming the center of attention. But the key diplomatic achievement from my point of view, and I'll want your views on it as well, is that Pakistan is applying a regional approach. So it's not like Pakistan hogging all the attention. They want all the regional stakeholders to build a consensus, because right now obviously this is facilitation, this is mediation, but this can go either way, you know. And to bring all of these regional countries together, obviously now, as you know, FM Ishaq Dar Saab, he's also going to China to basically get these talking points in the knowledge of the Chinese foreign minister as well. So I see Pakistan developing a regional consensus, so all of these players also have a stake in the peace process as well. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think this meeting of four foreign ministers has actually paved the way for real peace negotiations that are likely to take place with Pakistan's mediation between Iran and US. So it was definitely paving the way, sort of leading up to those negotiations. And I also agree with your second point, which is, I mean, the optics of this meeting and even the substance behind the scenes conversations that four foreign ministers would have had, uh, they put a lot of gravitas to Pakistan's role as the mediator. And as you might have, closely followed the statement that came out after the meeting. So the Egyptian foreign minister, Turkey's foreign minister, and Saudi foreign minister, they actually all of them requested Foreign Minister of Pakistan Ishaq Dar to give the press statement on behalf of all four countries, where the Pakistani foreign minister said that all three countries have actually endorsed Pakistan's role as the lead mediator. So that has given a lot of legitimacy to Pakistan's efforts. And as you said, that I mean, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey, they are the key stakeholders here. I mean, one could say Egypt less so because Egypt does not necessarily share border with Iran, but Saudi is right in the neighborhood, and obviously this is a country which is not only important in Middle East because of their economic heft and their sort of symbolic role as the center of Islam. But this is a country which knows how to play geopolitics. So and Turkey, of course, very very important. So these are the key stakeholders. I
And we
agree
also
with
have a defense agreement with the Saudis as well, and that is also bringing a lot of like stress
you.
in the regional security dynamics, because if this conflict continues longer, there will be a lot of pressure on Pakistan or even on the GCC countries right now, which have shown a lot of patience in the current conflict, and all parties would want this conflict to resolve as soon as possible before this expands to the region, and that will not be good for global oil prices, commodity prices as well, and obviously the security dynamics. Everything is
Right. So on that note, let me quickly ask you a question. So, a lot of, experts have appreciated the restraint that Saudi has shown in the face of, consistent attacks from Iran. Do you think Pakistan has something to do with the Saudi restraint right now?
Pakistan is obviously trying its best to get this situation resolved diplomatically. And obviously, no party, including Pakistan, wants this to become a regional, conflict. So I obviously Pakistan is doing a lot diplomatically. It's doing a lot of like messaging. There's like a lot of back channels that are open. Pakistan also like has this trust that it shares with Iran as well as the other stakeholders in GCC, also the US and China. So Pakistan is uniquely poised or pivoted to basically get this messaging across. Again, it's not just about conflict. Pakistan's whole economic situation, as everyone knows, There are like a lot of challenges and a recent recession that Pakistan is like now slowly creeping out of. Other than that, as you know, when it comes to GCC countries, we get like a lot of remittances from a lot of like workers that are based in various countries. And Pakistan's energy portfolio gets most of their energy, including LNG and oil, from Saudis, Qataris, and like, the regional players. So we are directly impacted by any conflict or the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. So,
Right.
other than
So,
Pakistan, if you look at all the other regional countries, they're also impacted as well. So, there's
right.
also this whole like effort to basically resolve this conflict as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about Pakistan's motivations to ensure that this conflict is resolved as soon as possible in our previous podcast as well. For Pakistan, it's really imperative that this war comes to a peaceful end as soon as possible. Pakistan has skin in the game. We've already talked about that, but and that explains why Pakistan is doing these frantic efforts. Pakistan has put all its diplomatic resources, in this sort of line of effort right now. I do want to ask you a little bit about the way forward. I mean, where do we go from here onwards? And what's the significance of Mr. Ishaq Dar's visit to China? I think as we speak, he's probably boarding the plane tonight or early morning tomorrow to go meet the Chinese officials to probably get their endorsement on this. But yeah. So how do you look at the sort of way forward? Where do we go from here onwards? And later after that, we will talk a little bit about the implications as well. So over to you.
So, Imran, when it comes to the US 15 points and then the resultant Iran's 15 points, so where will the middle point be? So these are two maximalist positions that both of these countries have basically taken. And if we discuss those, Iran basically said that if our points are not taken into consideration, it'll be a non-starter. And there are like certain points that the US is very adamant about, uh, keeping in view their long-term ally. So even when the discussions in Oman were taking place, I think there was a consensus that was reached on curtailing or curbing Iran's nuclear capabilities, and then there was a discussion on how the fuel would be disposed of, and I think there was some sort of like consensus on it. Um where there will be a challenge, that will be on Iran's ballistic missile system. I think the US and their allies, they basically want to curtail that as well. I personally don't think it will be something that Iran would be willing to compromise on. And the new dynamic that has emerged, and I want your views on it, is the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. So this is a new dynamic that has come in, even though Iran had very clearly stated that if they are attacked, they would basically go for the closure of the strait. And that has basically brought the whole region into an economic turmoil. So, what do you think? Iran basically wants its control over Hormuz. It wants to basically extract some tolls, taxes, and Iran basically says that they will use these taxes for rebuilding, reconstruction. What do you think, like the
Yeah.
dynamics around?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's very obvious that Strait of Hormuz is the biggest leverage that the Iranians have right now. And you would remember that they did not use that leverage during the first few days of the war. But when they, I mean, at some point they decided that they had no choice but to close the strait. And now, how do they want to use this leverage? Well, they have a couple of demands. Uh, they want assurances from the US and Israelis that Iran would not be attacked, there would not be a new war. They definitely want reparations And reparations does not mean that they want the US government to pay them, $50 billion. They want sanction relief, right? And they would want to retain their nuclear program. Obviously, I mean, they are, paying this price of destruction of some of their strategic military capabilities because of nuclear program, right? If they had to surrender their nuclear program, they would have done that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, right? They want to retain it. They say they want to retain it for peaceful purposes. But I mean, whatever the truth is, they do want to retain it. So Strait of Hormuz is the biggest leverage. They would not give it up very easily. They would not give up the sovereignty over and control over Strait of Hormuz very, very easily to Americans. Americans would have to give them some concessions. And also, like, I think the only scenario where they are not taking that sort of, tool tax from the ships is where they get sanctions relief, all right? Otherwise, if America says no sanctions relief, we've destroyed some of your sort of infrastructure, we've killed your leadership, we're not going to pay you a single penny, then they would partially open the strait with every ship paying them some money, except ships of the Iran-friendly countries.
So that is quite interesting, because I think the recent comments from Secretary Marco Rubio alluded to the fact that the US will not allow Iran to extract any tolls or to block the Hormuz. And there are like also discussions on like the US boots on ground. And as we speak, we also know there are a lot of like Marines are being sent to that region. And the key objective for that is to keep the strait open in a way or the other. But let's see how that plays out. I really hope it doesn't go to that. But there is also like when there was a discussion on sanctions relief that was taking place, something clicked in my mind that because Pakistan is like playing such a role, a lot of like economic integration and a lot of like economic stress on the GCC countries is there. When there's a discussion on sanctions relief, when at the end of the day, those discussions are taking place, Pakistan playing a key pivotal role in facilitating all of this process, don't you think that it's about time that, as Pakistan has like in Pakistan, as you mentioned, is in that Goldilocks zone in which they have like good relations with all stakeholders, including the US. And like our senior leadership has a very good and a vibrant relationship with President Trump. Don't you think it's about time that Pakistan extracts some sort of concessions when it comes to getting their energy needs or their gas or oil of some sort from Iran? Because as you know, with the Iran-Pakistan gas pipeline, it's been under sanction for a very long time. And even previously, before this conflict, Iran was in a way taking Pakistan to international courts or international arbitration, because Pakistan hasn't basically extended that pipeline into its own country, even though we have agreements with the Iranian side. Don't you think it's about time that Pakistan can also put this under discussion and get some sort of like sanctions relief? Because India has been able to do it back in the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they basically
Absolutely.
brought their oil, and they also made a lot of investments in Chabahar port. I think Pakistan is there, and now I think it's about time.
Yeah, no, that's a very interesting point that you make, and I mean, this is an issue that is totally missing in the discourse about Pakistan's role as mediator. I mean, Pakistan can definitely reap economic dividends if if Pakistan is able to get this war resolved through peaceful means. Again, Pakistan will probably advocate for an arrangement where there is relief sanctions, there's economic sanctions relief, sorry, where Iran is allowed to export its oil to countries like Pakistan, And that's a win-win. That's a win for Iran. That's a win for Pakistan, and that would also ease the pressure that the world economy will still face even after the peaceful settlement of this war, right? Because now it'll take Qataris and UAE and Saudi Arabia some time to basically bring the oil production to that level that it was on February 28th when the war started. So that is definitely a possibility, but I am not too hopeful, to be honest, Sheharyar, because I think Israelis and anti-Iran hawks within the U.S. government would not allow Iran to basically reap a lot of economic benefits. But I think these economic dividends are for everyone. They are for the region, and if you will keep Iranians in a difficult space economically, you cannot expect Iranians to become less belligerent towards U.S. and Israel and Western world. I mean, you would have to give them something post-war, to integrate them in global economy.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I have. If you want to say something further about this issue, please go ahead. Otherwise, I have a few more questions for you, and we have less than like 10 minutes left. So
Yeah. Let's take this forward.
okay, perfect. So what I wanted to ask you now is have you seen the reactions in India? I mean, it seems like there's a mini civil war going on in India on the Indian media, where the political opposition and some media figures are really taking on Modi government, and then rightly so, and they are criticizing Modi government for its epic failure of their foreign policy, because Pakistan taking all the limelight and playing such a central role, whereas India is nowhere in this equation. Do you think, is it really a big foreign policy failure for India? I mean, India is a country which is very close to Israel, which is, apparently close to US because of Indo-Pacific and AUKUS, and which says that it has historical ties with Iran, and yet it's missing in action when it comes to diplomacy on this issue. Is it really a failure of India? And has Pakistan been able to totally outmaneuver India on this issue?
Well, like it was an open floor for everyone. Pakistan didn't like outmaneuver India, but like Pakistan took an opportunity, which was there to play a role as a mediator. That role was open to all stakeholders. And as you mentioned, India is also one of the very few countries that have good relations with both Iran, GCC, the US, and of course, Israel. And before the conflict, Prime Minister Modi basically went for a very significant visit to Israel. Other than that, India prides itself, when it comes to their foreign policy, they basically call it like strategic autonomy. But I don't see that autonomy anywhere. And I was quite disappointed by the comments made by their foreign minister, who is a diplomat. He comes from a family of diplomats, and the kind of language that he had to resort to in regards to Pakistan, that basically just like showed that diplomacy had left the window, So that kind of like gave an indication of how frustrated the Indian decision makers are, and they basically saw an opportunity in which India could have basically played a very key role in the region. And like even a few months ago, there was this whole discussion on who would have the leadership of the global south, and India was poising itself as the leader, or like the emerging next power that would basically take the whole global south or lead it. But they dropped the ball on this one for sure. And given India's like historical history with the non-aligned movement, as a country that basically avoids conflict, And a lot of incidents that happened in this conflict, India chose strategic silence, and that silence in this day and age is taken as partiality, not as neutrality. And I don't know, what do you think?
I think India is so shell shocked and numb since May 2025 war with Pakistan that since then they've been so guarded in their foreign policy because I think people in the Indian diplomacy sort of foreign policy establishment would have realized what a big blunder attacking Pakistan was. Since then, they have become so guarded that they have missed the bus on so many opportunities, including this one, right? So it is definitely a big failure of Indian foreign policy. And I think opposition in India is right in saying that when Pakistan does this kind of mediation, you use very unparliamentary language for it. But when you remember when the after Ukraine war started, Modi was trying to position himself as the mediator. So as someone said on the Indian media, when you do it, it's fine. When Pakistan does it, you call names. But anyways, I think we've discussed this issue at length. There are too many. There are two other issues that I want to quickly cover before we conclude this episode of our podcast. One is, who do you credit within the Pakistani state and Pakistani government for this successful diplomacy that is unfolding in front of our eyes? Is it the Pakistani Foreign Office? Is it Pakistani military? Is it Shahbaz Sharif, the Prime Minister's office? How do you look at various efforts within Pakistani government?
So, obviously, it's a joint effort right now. I personally think Pakistan's Foreign Office again is very poised. It's very professional. They do a lot of heavy lifting, but at the same time, a lot of back channels, a lot of discussions that go on in the back end. They're not really advertised, and that is where the Pakistani establishment and the field marshal has played a very crucial role. So a lot of they call it diplomacy when it comes to going from capital to capital. That was done in partnership with Pakistani establishment. Pakistani establishment has gained a lot of prominence ever since the whole defense deal was signed with the Saudis, and a lot of
Yeah.
other regional countries have also showed a
L-
lot of
l-
interest in getting
Sorry,
on board.
sorry to cut you short, but since we have paucity of time, and you've already made your point, so you highlighted the sort of military diplomacy, which is obviously true, which is there, and the role of the field marshal, and you also sort of underline the role that Foreign Office has played. Let me just very briefly uh, belabor that point that Pakistan's diplomats are some of the best in the world.
Of course.
And while Pakistan-US relationship was going through very difficult phase between, let's say, 2021 and 2024. Pakistani diplomats were tirelessly working on improving that relationship. And you and I, we were part of many of those meetings with the American delegations, and sometimes, I mean, Americans would sort of, would have those difficult discussions. But I think I'm witness to how Pakistani diplomats were very calm, poised, and they would absorb all the criticism because they knew that they would be able to turn around those things. So I think that Pakistani Foreign Office has laid down that infrastructure, have those key relationships, diplomats to diplomats, in place. And when there is a strategic push from the top, from the military establishment, they find a very well-oiled machine in the form of Pakistani diplomats who are very professional, and they make this magic happen. Last thing, Sheharyar, is it what Pakistan is doing, is it facilitation or mediation? What is it? I mean, there is a semantics debate going on. What should we
I
call it?
I personally don't think we should get bogged down in semantics and like try to define what facilitation means, what mediation means. At the end of the day, Pakistan is playing a very crucial role. And if we can get all of these like stakeholders to, come up with a consensus on the bare minimum agenda on which we can reach a ceasefire, it won't be easy. It will not happen in the next week, but the process has started. It might take a month, it might take more than that, but this will be the starting point for that. And I think we should be focusing on reaching a ceasefire as soon as possible, and then we can discuss the semantics later.
Very well put. And, as Shakespeare said, what's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other word would smell as sweet. So I think what Pakistan is doing right now is very, very significant. And kudos to Pakistani diplomats and various parts of the government. I mean, you and I, when sort of some criticism is merited, we would be the first ones to criticize Pakistani government on merit. But I think the efforts that they are leading right now for peace in the region, the world, they are commendable. And it's really exciting to be in Islamabad to witness a rise of Pakistan right now. Thank you so much, Sheharyar, for joining me. I think it
Thank
was a
you.
lovely conversation. Yeah, we'll meet soon again, inshallah, to talk about maybe the same issue or something else. Maybe we'll talk about Afghanistan, Pakistan conflict. Take care. Have a
Sounds
great
good.
evening.
So
Yeah.
take care.
Bye. Bye.